couple of years, the schedule will change with new routes added to the Gautrain commute. Recently, Gautrain's management announced details of their expansion plan. The new routes include Soweto, Mamelodi, Boksburg, Randburg and Lanseria Airport. Now this is a big deal for the local economy, especially given the weaker growth outlook for the economy this year, the recent credit downgrades and political uncertainty in the country. The announcement actually pays tribute to the leaders of this province for their foresight, vision and long-term strategic planning, as it has the potential to unlock new opportunities in new sectors. We chatted to the CEO of Gautrain, Jack van der Merwe, who explained to us why it is necessary to expand Gautrain's current links.
There's actually two things happening. At the moment, we have massive pressure on our system during peak hours. And we have tried everything. We have brought in 3 different fares, a peak fare, a shoulder fare, an off-peak fare. We've tried to change the inside layout of the trains, taking out one row of chairs, but we're at the point where we have to buy new rolling stock. So we've secured 4.5 billion rand from the DBSA, and we are in the tender process to increase our fleet by 50%. So we are buying another 48 rail carriages, 12 trains, and that process at the moment is in the request for proposal stage, and we hope to by the end of the year announce a preferred bidder. So that's the one part. The second part is that 3 years ago we were asked to develop an integrated transport master plan for Gauteng called the ITMP 25. And in that, one of the big challenges for us in Gauteng is that we only 1.42% of the land area of South Africa, but we are now the most populous area. We get 547 people moving to Gauteng daily from the rest of South Africa. So our population grows by about 200,000 additional immigrants, if you can call it that, from the rest of South Africa per year. So we're going to end up with about 19 million inhabitants by 2037. And because of that, the ITMP 25 said we have to make rail the backbone. So the recommendation was that we should take a line from the east of Pretoria, from Mamelodi, bring it down 45 degrees past the DBSA and take it to the west of Johannesburg in Soweto, and then go from Lanseria to Randburg into Sandton, and then go from the airport down to Boksburg. So that was the suggestion. We then appointed transaction advisors, and we've designed as a PPP the Gautrain 2. So that has been finished, and we've handed it into Treasury. So we are now awaiting Treasury authorization 1. And that will run from Mamelodi in the east of Pretoria, coming down. It's about 150 kilometers and 19 new stations.
In 2015, following a study undertaken by KPMG, the economic impact of Gautrain became abundantly clear.
Gautrain was primary economic driver, a long-term economic driver. It was a project that the provincial government embarked on that said, what can we do that will have a long-term economic impact? Now, that was our dream. And then 5 years after we'd started, we started the train for the Soccer World Cup, and in 2010, so in 2015, we appointed KPMG, and we said, we've been bragging about this impact that we have on the province. You go and investigate, and you come back and you say to us, what has been the economic benefit? Now, we were amazed. We've created 114,000 jobs, but what they found is that we spent 27 billion rand on the train. But in the last 5 years, we've had 46 billion rand of developments around the stations. We have a multiplier that actually goes right into the economy of Gauteng, creating jobs, creating skills, creating development. So in Gautrain 1, we had 147 meetings with interested and affected parties. And all that they said to me is that they love the train, but not close to us. Make it 5-10 kilometers away. So there was a fight to move the train out of them. Now, we started off with 32 possible stations in the new Gautrain. There's a massive fight to get them closer to where they are, because now there's a land value capture you can find. We found that properties around the station are growing at between 1 to 3% faster than any other property. So and we expected that. If you look at the Docklands project in London, the train, because it's such a permanent thing, and it opens up the economy of the area, it is a growth engine. So we are pleasantly surprised with the results that we got with Gautrain 1, and now you can actually multiply it with Gautrain 2.
The incredible part of this expansion program is actually providing the service directly to 2 townships in Gauteng.
We work with a LSM of between 7 and 11. And what is incredible is that Soweto has more LSM people between 7 and 11 than what there are in Randburg. So this has shown, so we aren't competing with Metrorail, I must put it very clearly. We are not running parallel to Metrorail, but we are opening up a corridor from Soweto directly to Randburg, directly to Four Ways, places like that. And at the moment, people living in Soweto and working there have to go into town, go to Park, and then get another form of transport to get to Sandton and the north of Johannesburg. So this opens up a quick link going there. And that's why that's the second highest priority. So we are thinking of building it in 5 stages. The first one obviously has to be coming into Randburg, because we're going to build the depot at Little Falls, coming into Joburg, coming from Randburg into Sandton, but then going from Little Falls, Roodepoort to Jabulani.
From an integrated transport perspective, it makes sense, according to Jack, to have 2 major international airports in the province.
We have to have more than one international airport. And what would be nice is that if you can take the local trips, or a lot of local trips, off our Tambo, and that's happening at the moment. There are a lot of flights into southern Africa happening from Lanseria, and there's a massive growth potential around Lanseria.
Lanseria Airport is only one of 2 privately owned airports in South Africa. It is situated north of Randburg and Sandton, to the northwest of Johannesburg. We chatted to their current CEO in studio about Lanseria's development plans and the likely impact of the Gautrain link. I had a very interesting chat with the Gautrain CEO Jack van der Merwe about that new route announcement. And I know a lot of people who prefer to fly via Lanseria just to avoid the traffic going towards OR Tambo.
Of course, yes.
But first, just tell us about what was the initial vision behind the development of Lanseria Airport.
Thanks so much, Nashinda, for the opportunity. I think if I could go back to about 7 years ago, Lanseria actually used to be owned by private individuals, and the ownership of that of the company changed back in 2013. But the vision of those individuals at the time was to develop Lanseria into a general aviation facility, providing services to your charter aircraft or charter services. But they developed that business quite successfully, and they were very good in that in terms of developing the infrastructure. Until about 2006, where they changed the business model or the vision of for the company, and decided to invite commercial services or introduce commercial services, scheduled services at the airport. And that's when, at the time, we had Kulula starting their scheduled services. And that was followed by Mango in 2011, one time in between. Unfortunately, one time didn't actually work out. And then lately, Fly Safair. So the vision at the time was a GA, General Aviation Facility, but progressively converting it into commercial scheduled services facility. And when the ownership of the airport changed back in 2013, I think the new shareholders, obviously, there was a reason why they decided to buy the airport. But they bought into that vision and agreed to pursue that for the next 5 to 10 years. So at the moment we are striving to grow the airport into commercial services facility, both for domestic flights as well as regional flights. And when you talk regional, we're talking the SADC region, but as well as international flights.
So that's on the cards, SADC and international.
Absolutely, but
very exciting.
International, not intercontinental.
Sure.
But just the continent of Africa. You know, so there's a number of developments that we have completed to date that will enable us to offer operators, airline operators that operate in the region and internationally in the rest of Africa to come and operate from Lanseria.
Tell us about how this new route, Gautrain route running to Lanseria, will impact on its immediate development.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that obviously we're very excited about the developments around Gautrain and the fact that the feasibility studies have been completed by the Gautrain guys and that the phase 1 or phase 2 of their project will include, amongst others, the Lanseria route. At the moment there's talk that that route will actually stop somewhere in Cosmo City and then we'll use shuttle services to connect our passengers. But what excites us obviously is the opportunity to grow the business from our side, to develop the area around Lanseria as well. I mean, we are in a catchment area of about 11 million people, and we're only about 2 million passenger capacity at the moment, but we are increasing that capacity with the capital program that we have put together for the next 5 years. So the Gautrain is a key part of that development, a key part of our plan. If you look at our 5 to 10 year plan, we incorporate the Gautrain plans into our development plans for the airport. So what we've done to date in terms of development, we've actually refurbished or increased the capacity of our international section of the terminal building. That we doubled that capacity, and that development or construction of that finished late last year. We've just finalized the construction of our new ATC tower. This is the ATNS, the Air Traffic Navigation System personnel or services, and our fire station as well, just to improve on the fire emergency services that we offer as the airport. And recently, I mean, as late as probably about 4 weeks ago, we turned the sod on the development of our multi-story parkade. That will increase our parking capacity by about 700 parking bays. So it's a 1,000-bay facility, 3 multi-story facility, 3-story facility. That will also include the development of a retail node in the facility itself. So we'll be able to welcome some of the large food retailers, clothing retailers.
Fantastic. It supports the vision of
airport. Yes,
Gauteng's when it comes to urbanization.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. And the development that's taking place around Lanseria, and this is primarily residential development, and we talk about Stain City on the one side, Fourways City, for example, there's a huge development in terms of the Fourways Mall, and also on the eastern side of the airport is huge residential development. Those people would require airport movement or transportation, and we're quite excited about that as the airport. And obviously we talk a lot with the city of Johannesburg, with the Gautrain province, in terms of the development in and around the airport, and those are exciting.